Welcome back, fellow travelers, to another eye-opening episode of The Traveler. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both sobering and essential: safety. While the world is teeming with captivating destinations, there exist places where life is filled with risks due to environmental hazards, political instability, or societal unrest. Join us as we embark on an interesting journey to uncover 10 locations that are deemed unsafe for habitation in the complicated year of 2024. Before we start, here's a reminder. Safety is a relative concept, and these evaluations are based on current conditions. This being said, let's dive in. 1. Fukushima, Japan. Our inaugural destination brings us to the heart of Fukushima, Japan, a place forever marked by the catastrophic events of 2011. Following the nuclear disaster at the Fukushima Daiichi power plant, the region has struggled to contain the lingering effects of radiation. Despite extensive cleanup efforts, certain areas remain uninhabitable due to elevated radiation levels, posing significant health risks to residents. The specter of radiation exposure casts a long shadow over Fukushima, rendering it unsuitable for long-term habitation. The people of Fukushima have shown remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. However, the road to recovery remains long and uncertain, with many questions lingering about the long-term health and environmental impacts. 2. Caracas, Venezuela. Venturing across continents, we arrive at the vibrant yet troubled metropolis of Caracas, Venezuela. Once hailed as a beacon of prosperity in South America, Caracas now grapples with the repercussions of economic collapse and social unrest. Skyrocketing inflation, widespread poverty, and chronic food shortages have plunged the city into a state of crime and violence. Caracas has become a weird place to call home, with residents contending with the constant threat of robbery, kidnapping, and street violence. The decline of Caracas from a bustling cosmopolitan hub to a city besieged by socio-economic woes is a cautionary tale of political instability. Once considered one of the wealthiest cities in Latin America, Caracas was renowned for its modern infrastructure, cultural vibrancy, and high standard of living. However, years of economic mismanagement, corruption, and political polarization have eroded the city's prosperity. 3. Aleppo, Syria. Our journey then takes us to the war-ravaged streets of Aleppo, Syria, a city scarred by years of relentless conflict. Despite efforts to rebuild amid the ruins, the wounds of war run deep, leaving behind a landscape marred by destruction and despair. Now it stands as a tragic symbol of the human cost of war. The city's rich history and architectural heritage have been reduced to rubble, with ancient landmarks and modern infrastructure alike destroyed by bombs and artillery fire. The scars of battle are etched into every street and building, serving as a haunting reminder of the devastation wrought by conflict. Civilians in Aleppo continue to endure the daily horrors of warfare, grappling with displacement, loss, and trauma. 4. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Turning our attention to the Caribbean, we find ourselves in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, a city plagued by a confluence. Haiti's vulnerability to seismic activity has resulted in devastating earthquakes that have left thousands dead and infrastructure in ruins. Coupled with political corruption, widespread poverty, and inadequate access to essential services, Port-au-Prince remains a precarious place to reside, with residents facing constant threats to their safety and well-being. This dangerous combination has created a perfect storm of challenges for Port-au-Prince residents, leaving them vulnerable to a myriad of threats to their safety and well-being. In addition to earthquakes, the city is also prone to other natural disasters, including hurricanes, floods, and landslides, which further compound the challenges facing its residents. 5. Mogadishu, Somalia. Across the continent, we arrive in Mogadishu, Somalia, a city mired in a seemingly endless cycle of conflict and instability. Decades of civil war and the presence of armed militias have rendered Mogadishu one of the most dangerous urban centers in the world. The absence of effective governance and the proliferation of extremist groups have created a climate of fear and lawlessness, with residents living in perpetual fear of violence and targeted attacks. The history of Mogadishu is a tragic tale of state failure, internal strife, and external intervention. Mogadishu has been ravaged by conflict for much of the past 3 decades. The presence of armed militias and extremist groups has created a climate of fear and uncertainty in Mogadishu, with residents living in constant fear of violence and targeted attacks. 6. San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Our next stop brings us to San Pedro Sula, Honduras, a city grappling with rampant violence and organized crime. Situated in the heart of Central America, San Pedro Sula has earned the dubious distinction of being one of the most dangerous cities in the region. And this place represents a poignant example of the profound challenges posed by rampant gang crime. Despite efforts to address the root causes of violence, including poverty, inequality, and corruption, the city continues to struggle with pervasive insecurity and fear. While initiatives focused on community policing and violence prevention show promise, systemic issues remain largely unaddressed, leaving residents vulnerable to the whims of criminal groups and the failures of the state. 7. Kabul, Afghanistan. Crossing continents once more, we arrive in Kabul, Afghanistan, a city scarred by decades of conflict and political upheaval. Despite efforts to establish stability and security, Kabul remains a hotbed of violence and unrest, with frequent attacks targeting civilians and government institutions. The specter of terrorism looms large over the Afghan capital, underscoring the immense challenges facing residents seeking to rebuild their lives amidst the chaos of war. Kabul stands as a symbol of the enduring struggle for peace and stability in Afghanistan. While efforts to establish security and governance continue, the road to recovery remains long and uncertain. Until comprehensive solutions are found to address the root causes of conflict and instability, Kabul will remain trapped in a cycle of violence and uncertainty. 8. Ciudad Juarez. Descending into the heart of Mexico, we find ourselves in Ciudad Juarez, a city grappling with the devastating consequences of drug-related violence and organized crime. Situated along the U.S.-Mexico border, Ciudad Juarez has long been a battleground for rival cartels fighting for control of lucrative drug trafficking routes. The resulting wave of violence has claimed countless lives and instilled a climate of fear and insecurity. Despite efforts by the Mexican government to combat drug trafficking and organized crime, police corruption and collusion with criminal elements undermine the rule of law, while the lack of economic opportunities and social services perpetuate the cycle of poverty and violence. The city's once thriving economy has been decimated by the violence, with businesses shuttered and tourism all but non-existent. 9. The Central African Republic. Our journey then takes us to the Central African Republic, where we find the embattled city of Bangui, a microcosm of the country's enduring turmoil. Sectarian violence and political instability have torn apart the fabric of society, leaving communities fractured and displaced. Ethnic tensions simmer beneath the surface, threatening to erupt into further bloodshed at any moment. In addition to internal strife, Bangui also grapples with external pressures, including interference from neighboring countries and international actors vying for influence in the region. In the absence of effective governance and security, Bangui remains a powder keg of volatility and uncertainty. 10. Goma, North Kivu. Finally, we arrive in Goma, located in North Kivu. This city has been particularly hard hit by years of armed conflict and political upheaval. Various armed groups, including rebel militias and factions vying for control over lucrative mineral resources, have engaged in a protracted struggle for power, resulting in widespread displacement, human rights abuses, and civilian casualties. The volatile security situation in North Kivu has created a climate of fear and uncertainty, with residents living in constant fear of violence, forced recruitment, and sexual violence. The presence of armed groups, combined with the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, has made everyday life perilous for ordinary citizens. Choosing to travel to safe places is crucial for safeguarding yourself. By opting for destinations with low crime rates, stable political climates, and effective government, you can minimize the risk during your journey. Enjoy your travel experiences, explore new cultures, and create lasting memories without fear. Please don't forget, if you liked this video, you can like, subscribe, and hit that bell. This will let you know when we have more videos for you and keep you tuned. And there you have it, lovely people. While the world is replete with wonders, it is essential to exercise caution when choosing a place. Until next time, and may your travels lead you to secure shores. Safe trip.